Hello and very welcome to this on-demand recording of the webinar, Get Ready for Microsoft 365 Copilot. My name is Ulrika Hedlund. I'm the CEO and founder of Storyals. Our mission is to inspire, motivate, and educate users in the digital workplace. And we're so excited that you are watching this recording about how to get ready for Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now, I know that many of you who are listening in and tuning in to this webinar have a very good idea of what Microsoft 365 Copilot is. You've probably read a number of our blogs, you've been watching videos on YouTube, but just to make sure that we're all in the same mental place of how revolutionary this is for employees in the workplace, I wanted to play this clip by Colette, Microsoft 365 GM, from the Microsoft event in September. So please listen to this and see what Microsoft 365 Copilot is all about.
Time is our most precious resource, and perhaps nowhere is Copilot better poised to tame the complexity, eliminate the drudgery, and help people reclaim time than at work. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant at work. After months of learning alongside hundreds of customers like Visa, General Motors, KPMG, and Lumen, I'm excited to share that Microsoft 365 Copilot will be generally available for enterprise customers on November 1st. In March, we showed you how Copilot can unlock productivity and unleash creativity in the apps millions of people use every day across work and life: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Teams. Copilot makes you more creative in Word, more analytical in Excel, more expressive in PowerPoint, more productive in Outlook, and more collaborative in Teams. Today, we're introducing a new hero experience in Microsoft 365 Copilot, Microsoft 365 Chat. You got a glimpse of M365 Chat in March, but thanks to rapid advances over the past few months, today we're taking it to a whole new level, going far beyond simple questions and answers to solve your most complex problems at work. Let's take a look.
So now that you've seen the fantastic demos on stage, they always get us very excited, right? It's time to go back to reality. So if we want to achieve this for our users in the workplace, what do we need to do as leaders to get ready? So as always, as with everything, the first thing is that you just need to start, right? So you need to initiate a project to evaluate this, to test it, to pilot it, to get ready. And most times when you need to initiate a project, you need to do a business case. This can be quite tricky when it comes to something that is so new. What we do know about Microsoft 365 Copilot is the license cost that has been announced for enterprise users. So Microsoft have shared that the Microsoft 365 Copilot license will cost $30 per user per month. So you start calculating that, and you start looking at how much is this going to cost as an investment if we want to go ahead and roll this out to our organization. The problem is with such a new technology that it's really, really hard to know what the return is. What is the impact of rolling this out? What business cases will we find? So, when we come to this situation with something that is so new that we don't really know, I would like to advise that you follow Sam's advice. So Sam is the Microsoft Deputy CTO, and he delivered a great interview in the Work Lab podcast. And he said there are going to be 4 different types of boxes that you can be in here. You could be pessimistic and say that no, this is not going to fly, and you might be right. But how fun is that? You can be pessimistic and say that no, this is not going to lead anywhere. It's not going to be a good investment for our company. And you're wrong. You don't want to be in that box when your competitors are investing in this and it goes right. You could be optimistic and wrong. You might say, we really need to invest in this. This is going to be the future. This will be as big as the internet. And you might be wrong. It might not be ready yet. But at least then you will be seen as a visionary. So you don't, being in this box isn't that bad anyway. And finally, you can be in this quadrant where you're optimistic and you're right. And this is where we all want to be. So I will put the link here into the show notes and recommend that you listen to this podcast. The next thing that is super important is to understand what the technical prerequisites are for enabling Copilot. Okay, and again, there are great articles here with every step documented by Microsoft what you need. The recommendation by Microsoft is to have a Microsoft 365 E5 license with all of the security and all of the tools that you need for data governance and data permissions here. So that is one prerequisite. And the Copilot license, again, will be added on top of the Microsoft 365 license. There are also some prerequisites in terms of the applications that users need to have in order to have Copilot enabled. For Outlook, currently it is the new Outlook for Windows clients. So some of you might see the little toggle depending on what channel you're in and what release channel you're on from Microsoft. So here, the new Outlook. Teams, there's also a new version of Teams that has now been released to general availability. We've heard from some of our customers that they're waiting a little bit before they roll out the new Teams. They're staying with the classic Teams experience for some time. Now, Copilot will work with Teams both on the classic version as well as on the desktop, the classic and the new version, and both on the web as well as the desktop. You also need to have OneDrive enabled. And here's another thing that becomes super duper important. Since Microsoft 365 Copilot builds on the Microsoft 365 graph and looks at the signals and makes sense of the documents, they need to be in the cloud. So again, here we need to look at how are we working with Microsoft 365? Where are our documents stored? Where are we working? Where are we collaborating? So if you have your documents stored, on your desktop and it's not synchronized to the cloud, or if you have them somewhere else, they will not be part of this intelligence that Copilot gets access to. Here you will have more step-by-step in terms of what you need to do to get ready. Of course, one super duper important step of this will be to do a proper data audit. You need to review and validate who has access to the information. And this, of course, is nothing that's new with Copilot. Microsoft Copilot does not give users access to anything they don't already have access to today. But when we ask a lot of leaders if they are 100% comfortable with the settings on their SharePoint sites, if they know that all of the teams that they have are private and not public, if it's not, openly public for the entire organization, they start, twisting and turning a little bit. So again, this is nothing new with Copilot, but of course, Copilot will be able to find things that your normal user might not be looking for. And you might be asking questions to your Copilot about things that it then reverts back and provides you the answers. So it is super important that you do a data audit, that you look through your SharePoint sites, your team sites, that you put proper data governance in place, that you start working with sensitivity labels, that you understand who has access to your data. And here, Microsoft has also introduced a number of new tools, both in SharePoint and also in Teams, where you can actually go and you can see what Microsoft recommend is what's called just enough access. So instead of putting out a SharePoint site and giving everyone except external users access to the information in that SharePoint site, change it around, lock it down, and look that only the people that need to have access to this information should have access to this information. So I'm going to do a little show of hands. Now, this is anonymous, but I'm going to ask, well, I guess it's not anonymous since I'm asking you to raise your hand, but this will be interesting to see. Who here feels 100% sure that they have all of their data properly secured and tagged? Raise your digital hand. Yay! We have a few. That's amazing. And I'm raising my hand as well. Very good. Very good. So we have a few of them. Thank you so much. You can keep your hands down. But a lot of you don't, right? And I think this is very, very typical. And so here we have to go back. We have to start looking at our information architecture, even asking the question, who is responsible? Do we have a data governance team? So this really goes back to things that we've been talking about for so long. But Copilot really makes that so much more important. Okay, let me go back and let me see if, and Julianne and Kate, I'm going to ask you again if there are, I'm going to go back and we're going to look at the chat, but if there's something that you would want us to pause and share, please let me know. Okay. So just enough access, and again, walk through what you need to do in order to review your data. Okay. Next step, set up a training and adoption center. Now this, I'm not just talking about Copilot. Remember, Microsoft 365 Copilot is just that, a Copilot. You yourself need to be the pilot and you need to be able to drive or fly the Microsoft 365 plane. So you need to make sure that you train your users on how to use these tools effectively. Just adding a Copilot license on top of it will not do a lot of good if your users don't know how to work effectively in Teams, in channels, when to use chats, when to use a SharePoint site to share information. So it is extremely, extremely important that you set up an adoption training center for your digital workplace. Now, when we talk about the digital workplace from Storyals, we usually talk about Microsoft 365, but we also know that your digital workplace has a lot of other applications and technologies as well. So make your digital workplace training center broad Make sure that it can cover and cater for all of your different technologies that your users are experiencing in their workplace. And make sure that you provide them with training. Now, when we talk about training, I often get this question. Should you just use a carrot, or do you sometimes need to use the stick? And here, I can tell you, we at Storyals have been working on change management and adoption for many, many, many years. And I can tell you, you need both. Sometimes you need to, wave that carrot and you need to say, look, we're going to have a scavenger hunt and now we're going to collect badges and the winner is going to win a, dinner for two. Sometimes you need to use nudging. You need to give tips. You need to show what's possible. And sometimes you need to use a little bit of a stick. You need to say, if you are going to get access to not just this, normally we say that the Microsoft 365 is like a Ferrari. I guess we need to update that. Now it's like a Ferrari, airplane, and now you're going to get a Copilot. Now, if you are going to be, running this, you need to train. There's not a single pilot out there that is riding an airplane without having certifications and without having gone through proper training. So
Ulrika, there's
here,
a quick question around
perfect.
Talking about, I think it would be good for everyone to understand when you talk about teams being private and being public, what the difference?
Okay, perfect. Let's get into a demo and let's look at that. Thank you, Julianne. Okay. I am now in Teams. We have a number of different teams here, the marketing team, the customer projects. If I go here and I look at my teams, you can see that there are different types of teams. Some of these are marked as public. Some of them are marked as private. Now, the only time when you should have a public team is when you want it to be public within your organization. Because public within your organization means that other people can see this team, they can join this team without an invitation, and they can access and find the documents that are saved in the channels in this team by default. Okay. So if you want to make sure that only the people that are members of a specific team, only these people should be able to see and have access to the files that are stored in the channels in the SharePoint sites of this team. This is a private team. Okay. So, and this is something as a Teams administrator in the backend, in the Teams admin panel, you can have an overview. You can see all the teams that are private. You can see if they're public. So as an end user, I mean, this is again something that we're saying that when you do your data audit, you should review the teams that you have. But again, it is super important that users are trained. Now, in the Storyals training that we provide on how to work, how to enhance teamwork with Microsoft Teams, we go through how to create a team if you're allowed to create one by default by your organization. And we go through, what is a private team and what is a public team and when should you create what. So I hope that explains the questions about the private and the public teams.
Before we move on, Ulrika, there's another question I want to bring up.
Yes.
When Copilot is released, I have heard that the minimum number of licenses you can order is 300. Is this correct? And if so, have you heard anything about when you can order a fewer number of licenses?
Okay, great question. And this question is like out on the internet everywhere, and everyone's like trying to find the official response from Microsoft. So, like I said, the announcement that was made by Microsoft, what's being available November 1st is Copilot for enterprises. Okay. Now, the rumor that is out on the internet as well is that there is a minimum user license commitment of 300 users. But what I want to say is that definitely Microsoft have said they are going to come out with new information on how they will make this available. But just remember as well, I mean, think about the enormous amount of data power that this is also consuming. So of course Microsoft want to ensure that anyone who signs up for Microsoft Copilot gets a really good experience. So I'm guessing here that we will soon hear more information about how this will be made available to other users. Yes. Perfect. I will continue. And actually, while we are here and while we are looking at, building an overall digital workplace adoption center, uh, I've noted down 3 different applications here that we really recommend should be part of your adoption center. Now, depending on your size, you might want to use these tools a little bit differently. But since we are now talking about enterprise customers, definitely Viva Engage, or what some of you might know as Yammer, is the perfect tool also to create a community and to start sharing knowledge and learning. Okay. We also recommend that you combine that with a SharePoint site, a go-to place where you can publish information about your policies, about how you are, for instance, licensing Copilot, who has access to this. All of this information that is relevant for your digital workplace and for your digital workplace users should be, should be in this place on the intranet. Teams is also a fantastic place for learning. And this is something where we really recommend people are in teams. This is where they do their work. So make learning and make training part of that experience. Now, Microsoft have, those of you who have part of the Viva suite, you know that you have Viva Learning as a Viva experience platform. That is really amazing for taking courses and trainings that you have in various different learning management systems and exposing them up into Teams. Viva Learning is not a learning management system, or it is not a learning management platform. Here, we at Storyals partner with LMS 365. So LMS 365 is the perfect learning management system for Microsoft 365. It's built on Azure. It leverages Microsoft Entra, which is the new name for Azure, so all of your identities. It leverages SharePoint and Teams, and it also has an integration with Viva Learning if you want to expose your learning that you have in the learning management system LMS 365 in Viva Learning as well. So we are super excited to have this partnership with LMS 365. And this is always what we recommend. When we deliver training, we need to make sure that we can track and that we can see who has done the training. So let me switch over again and actually show you, before we get into kind of the Copilot piece of the training, just what this could look like. Okay, so now I'm going to show you kind of an out of the box, Storyals portal. But what we always, of course, recommend is that you as an organization put in your own information about how you work with these digital tools. But if you don't have anything to start with, then when you engage with Storyals, you get a ready site on the intranet, on your SharePoint online intranet, ready already, populated with courses on how to use Microsoft 365, both for your desktop workers or people that are working with a computer, web, and mobile, but also for your mobile workers, or if you have so-called frontline workers. So it gives you a great, starting point so that you don't have to start from scratch. The course catalog, here we're using LMS 365 in the back end, and we populate it with courses, story-based courses on how to, work in the digital workplace. And like I said, here you can have everything available for everyone. We do recommend that you use the targeting that's available in LMS 365, so you target specific courses to your specific user groups. So here, for instance, we have the courses, and these are evergreen, just like Microsoft 365. So we continuously update these courses for you. And here you can ensure that your users have the training that they need on how to work in Microsoft 365. Everything here is Storyals branded, but we have a lot of customers that have everything branded as per their own look and feel. So we're just working behind the scenes, and no one can tell that we are the ones providing the courses for their end users. So this is the environment, or this is the view and how you can see this through SharePoint. But like we said, a lot of users, like being in teams. And we also always recommend to combine with your digital workplace adoption center to link a team. Now, what you call it would be very different depending on your organization. We call it a digital gym because we go there to build the digital skills. But of course, this will be very different from organization to organization. So again, here we can see how we work with, training as part of the day-to-day. And here, of course, also as a manager, you want to be able to see, who has done what. So in your training dashboard, you can see both what you have completed yourself in terms of your own completed courses. I can do a training over here. I can see what I have completed. I can also see, things that have been assigned to me. And I can also get an overview of the people that report to me. So here I can see I'm logged in as Nasiba here, and she has these people reporting into her. So she can see the progress overview of what courses they have finished and completed or not. Of course, in the back end, we can see even more detailed reporting. So let me just quickly switch over to that as well. I'll switch over to another user. I'm switching now to Victor, our course catalog administrator. So here we can go and we can see, for instance, okay, let's look at the course connect and communicate, and we can look at the course progress. So here we can see, who has completed the training, who has not. And same thing here. I mean, when you're giving these tools to a user, you're giving something. So you can also ask for something in return, that they should have gone through this training so that they know how to use this. So now we're talking about Microsoft 365, but imagine that you are assigning a Copilot license to a user. So you are not going to want to, and we'll look into that later, you're not going to want to assign a user a license that they don't know how to use. So here it will be absolutely, I know a lot of organizations that are not training their users on how to work smarter in the digital workplace, and they're not getting the real value out of everything that they have in Microsoft 365. But I think organizations are not going to invest in Copilot and then not train their users. This is something that we really see. I mean, it really is a change of behavior. It's not just a new shiny tool that you get or toy that you get. It's something that you need to learn how to work with. Okay, let me continue here and share my whiteboard. Okay, so we've looked at the Adoption Center. Again, Microsoft are providing a lot of great content and a lot of great resources, both on the public Microsoft Adoption Copilot site, but also for early access, for those that are in the early access program of Copilot, they get a Copilot Center of Excellence with a lot of information. But many times, what we understand from organizations is that they want to make it, and with their larger organizations want to make sure that even the training and the guidance is per their guidelines. Smaller organizations might be able to take a lot of stuff straight off the bat from Microsoft, absolutely. But no matter what, you need to own your own adoption, and it needs to be something that you focus on. Normally, we say that, or normally Gartner recommends that for any tool, any investment that you do in technology, 10 to 20% of that license cost should be invested in training and change management. And we know that this is often not the case. I would say with Copilot, you would need to increase that. So take the cost of Microsoft 365 E5, add on top Copilot. Of that, take 25% and invest that in training and adoption for your users, because you need to get them to change their behavior. Okay, so set up a training and adoption center. What I've also said here is set up a user request process. Now, again, some of the users that are in the early access program, they get 300 licenses, and they kind of just select these are the users, and they hand out those licenses to their users, of course, mixing IT, business users, different levels. I believe, and this is my own personal perspective now, is that as an organization, you will never know 100% who each and every one who would really, really benefit and impact your business the most that should have one of these Copilot licenses. So in order to be very agile there, I would recommend that you set up a request process. And this could be as easy as putting a Microsoft form in your change management and adoption center to request a Copilot license. In there, they would need to write down almost like a little business case on why they would, benefit from having this, and also that they agree to go through the training, and that they agree, and this is important, that the license will be returned if they don't use it properly. Now, the cool thing is here, most of you that work with usage and adoption, you know that in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you can go in and you can see in the productivity score and the productivity reports, you can see the usage. You will also, as an administrator, have insights into the usage of Copilot. So again, it's really important that your users actually, make the most out of this. So I would recommend set up a request. Users can, submit like a business case, and then that they know that this license is not forever. This is also something that is, it comes with some, prerequisites. Again, it's like getting a driver's license for your car. So once a user has been approved for a Copilot license, you need to assign the mandatory training. Now, I'll go back again into LMS 365 and show how that is done. And in addition to the learning into the courses where users will learn what is Microsoft 365 Copilot, how does a large language model work? Can I trust all the answers that I get? No, you cannot. It is a large language model. Sometimes answers that you get will actually, be wrong. Now, let us actually try this. It's always fun to do a little bit of a unplanned demo. Okay, so I'm going to test something here. Something that is a really, really good starting point for all users, whether you are turning on Copilot or not, is to start with Bing Chat Enterprise. Okay, Bing Chat Enterprise is included in the Microsoft 365 license. Okay, so this is something that most of you already have access to. Okay, your administrator needs to turn this on. And so what happens is that you log in with your business account. So here I'm logged in as Storyals.com, Ulrika at Storyals.com. And you can see here that it says protected. Okay, so I know now that I am in a protected and protected environment. Anything that I type in here, anything that I paste in here will be deleted. It will not be used to train the model. It will not be leaked outside. So some of you might have heard, horror stories of intellectual property that has been leaked out by users that are using ChatGPT. You don't have to worry about this when you are in the protected mode. So this is the first step to start using AI in the digital workplace. So let's try to ask it something. Okay, is Ulrika Hedlund a Microsoft regional director? So we'll ask the chat and it will go out on the internet and it will see. Yes, Ulrika Hedlund is a Microsoft regional director. And then it talks about, why I have been given this nomination to represent. I'm not paid by Microsoft. I don't work for Microsoft, but I have been seen as a technology, influencer, I guess you could say. But let's type again. Which are the 3 Microsoft regional directors in Sweden? And let's see what it says. It's funny. Now it actually says that, so it learned from my previous chat. Before, if you do this, it would list names and my name would not be part of them. So this is good. This is also looks at, the improvements when it did. When I did this question a few days ago, it listed 3 names of other regional directors, but my name was not on the list. So I have to give another example for the next demo. But what I wanted to show here is that you cannot always trust the answers that you get. And this is something that you need to teach your users. However, what is really good in the tools that are being built now is that you get a reference. So you could always see, where's the source? Where's the data coming from? So just like we teach our children in school that whenever you look at something at the internet, you need to look at the source and you need to go back and to see if you trust this or not. So it's the same thing when we start using large language models. It is not actually 100% fact-based all the time. It is actually just looking at statistically what are, statistically the words that we should put together. So same thing here. When you compose something, you can start, using Bing Chat Enterprise. So give me 3 reasons why I should invest in training on Microsoft 365 for my employees. Okay, generate. I'll just tell it to generate a text for me. I could tell it to be professional, put it in a paragraph. I could, put it in an email, in a LinkedIn post. And here it gives me a preview of a text. So already here, by using Bing Chat Enterprise, learning how to prompt, learning what to ask for, learning if you can trust the data or not, this is something that you can start with today. And again, not just the training, but also encouraging your users to start using this. I actually put it as one of our commitments in our quarterly rocks to use Bing Chat Enterprise daily and to see how that could contribute and improve the work that we do. So, okay, let's continue. So again, in the training, I do recommend that you add a sign-off. And again, in LMS 365, you could add a sign-off that users actually need to sign that, yes, I have understood that this license is a business privilege and that it can be taken away from me if it's not used optimally. I mean, you could put in whatever text that you want, but I think it's good that users get this, sign off if they're given this. Now, get ready. All of these things are things that you should do before you before you give users the license. So before you enable Bing Chat Enterprise, make sure that you inform them of what it is, make sure that you train them on how to use it, and then you assign, same thing there, you assign the Copilot license. But you don't want to give this tool, this very powerful tool that can really unleash your superpowers to someone that doesn't know what it is. So let's have a look at that again. And I have to say, it is super, super exciting for us as Storyals. We are creating these courses now. And if you talk about things that update quickly, I think there is a totally new level of speed when it comes to these trainings on Bing Chat Enterprise and Microsoft 365 Copilot. Okay, so going back. And I will share my screen again. So I do not recommend that you set up like a totally different community or adoption site just for Copilot. Now, remember, Copilot is something that adds on top of Microsoft 365. Now, you might want to make it a closed community or a group in the beginning when you start testing this out. You might want to, make that closed or private, but do think about, the bigger scope of this later and the learning that's made available. So it really depends on your strategy for rolling out Copilot. So again, in your course catalog, in LMS 365, like I said, we can enroll users so that they get specific training and that they see it in their own learning dashboard. So again, like I said here, I can enroll myself to this course, but definitely as part of the onboarding program, then we recommend that you enroll your users to these trainings so that you can track and you can make sure that they have gone through the training as well. So again, add training on Microsoft 365 Copilot to the training. Okay, we are coming to the end of the loop here. Now, these two things here, nudge users with recommendations and share best practices. Now, this becomes extremely, extremely important. Now, when we look at training, we know, and learning and building new skills, we know that this is a blended way of learning. We need to learn from each other. We need to learn by trying it out. We need to learn, we need to get all of these different things. So it's not just enough to watch a course. Doesn't matter how good it is. It doesn't matter if we produced it and we're giving it to you. Doing a 30-minute course is not going to give you the skills that you need. So this is also about changing people's behavior. So, but here you also need to keep going. So I know a lot of organizations, something's new and something's shiny, and they say, "Oh, we're gonna, we're gonna have ambassadors, and we're gonna do a tip about this." But then I know after a couple of weeks they get tired of it, and it's not fun anymore. Our role as Storyals and as a training partner, we commit. We do not get tired of this. We will post a tip every week. We will nudge you. We will tell you about what you can do. And when it comes to Copilot, these are the recommendations that people need. That, for instance, do you know that it really helps to be polite when you're speaking with your Copilot? If you say thank you and if you say please, it will be nicer back to you. And it's also language model. So then it learns to be nicer and more polite in its language. Another thing that you need to learn is that the smarter questions you ask, the smarter results you will get back, or the smarter answers you will get. So you need to practice on how you prompt. You need to start, understanding, how to give feedback. And the early studies here from the early access program have also shown that people who are used to giving, directions, but to basically give tasks to others and provide them with feedback are the ones that are getting more value out of Copilot. So for instance, I give you this task. I will break it down into parts. Summarize this document for me. List a table with pros and cons. Give me the top 3 pros or the top 3, impact benefits and the negatives for this decision. And give feedback again. So everything that you would do with a colleague and you're a manager and you give feedback, the same is what you need to do with Copilot. The more you work with it, the better results you will get. Here we also need to learn from each other. And again, here, think about it in your organization. Think about the use cases that we don't even know about yet. Think about all of that mundane, drudgery, boring, manual work that can all of a sudden be automated using AI. But we don't know this ahead of time. And that's what's so exciting. So here it's also super important that you set up a way for people to share their practices, their best practices, and what they've learned. And again, sometimes people will need a little bit of a, encouragement to share. So this is also something that is, continuous work. Okay, we are at the end of the loop. So the final thing again here, and I've already touched it before, and I guess Microsoft will not be happy when they hear this because they probably just want to give Copilot license to everyone, no matter how people are using it or not. But as a business leader, I tell you that there's no point giving a Copilot license to someone that, first of all, does not know how to use Microsoft 365, that uses WhatsApp or text for all of their work. And again, there's no point giving Copilot access to someone that will never ask a question, that will never ask it to generate something for it, never put your Copilot to work. So again, review the usage and see if you're getting a return on your investment here. Before we sum up, I'm going to stop here again and see if there are any questions that we want to address, or if there's something else that we want to show.
So, Ulrika, there was a question around Microsoft's training for Copilot. You had mentioned it earlier.
Yes.
And I know that you'll be adding it to the email that everyone gets after the webinar. Is there any?
We can post it.
Yeah. There was just a question of, is there like a specific training packet? And I know there's lots of different courses depending upon who the user is. So that might be helpful to kind of, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there we go.
So when you look, and I can put this in the chat as well. So Microsoft have put together a Microsoft Copilot adoption site. Okay. So things that we talked about here, how to prepare for Copilot, learn how it works, and join the community, this information is available here. So same thing with end user training. More and more will be coming out on Microsoft Learn. So there will be videos, definitely. So what I warmly recommend is that you leverage everything that Microsoft has to offer, but that you also, like I said, that you also look into your own learning and development, and that you take charge and that you put certain courses that you put as mandatory. And again, these are courses that we as Storyals produce and can provide. You could make them yourself if you want, though, I mean, you probably have other things to do, and you can leverage the content that Microsoft is providing you with. But as long as you make sure that your users get trained on using Microsoft 365 Copilot. Okay, so if that is the, let me see if there was, and let me share the other link as well that we had from Microsoft Learn, where is this is more a technical article on the steps that you need to do to get started. Here it goes through the prerequisites again that I've talked about, how to manage licenses, etc. So there's already a lot of documentation available for you. So with that, I am going to end today's webinar. I hope that I was able to give you some new insights and maybe some new ideas for how you can start engaging and how you can get ready for Microsoft 365 Copilot. We are here to support you as well, so please do reach out. You will be getting an email with a link to this recording. So have a fantastic day, evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much.